Well, hello, hello, hello. Okay. So I was working on a few things and I thought, why not just work on them with my friends? So since I'm sitting here, I might as well hang out with my friends too, right? So all I'm doing is I'm finishing up a few pieces. I have painted these with the paint studio and they're not 100% finished yet. So I figured, why not finish them here live with you and hang out and answer some questions if you got any. So I've got, I believe this was our January design. It is completely painted, but it is not sealed. So I'm going to seal this today. In January, we practiced freehanding our hydrangeas. They had the template, but we learned how to hand paint hydrangeas. Okay. So you've got like a little bushel there and a few bushels here, and then we worked on our um, wood technique. We worked on our galvanized tin that we learned last year, but we revisited it this year for this design. So all this is, well, hey Melissa, how you doing? I've got a few pieces here that need sealer and hangers and all the things, and I was like, you know what, let me hop on and do it with my friends while I'm here. I was like, no reason not to hang out with my friends, right? So I've already started and I've already put y'all know how I like to put I like to finish off the edges. I like to clean up the edges. I don't like to leave them all willy-nilly. So I've already cleaned up the edges on this set. This set it's already got a hanger. I had already put some Velcro on it because this is an attachment. I'm going to just seal this real quick, okay? So while we're finishing up some projects, if you have any questions here, I'll go full table just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. If you have any questions, y'all put them down in the comments. I don't mind answering questions. I'd rather you ask a question than wonder, like stay in the wonder zone over there. I've been doing this for a good bit. I've been painting for a long time. I've been making home decor for a good bit. So ask your questions. Don't sit in the dark if you have one. Let's see. So the question I get a lot of questions, but since we're working on finishing up pieces, one that I get a lot is, what sealer do I use? If I'm going to use a brush on, there's two that I like. I like this Liquitex that my friend Bonnie introduced me to probably a couple years ago at this point. And it goes on nice and smooth and glossy and thin. I like that it self-levels pretty good. And it dries really fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and swipe that on real quick. On my door hangers, I like to work in sections. So if you notice, I'm just focusing on the basket. It helps my undiagnosed ADHD brain. I say that very, very loosely. Because I feel like I'm not diagnosed. I'm undiagnosed because that's how my brain, I feel like I have a bunch of squirrels and none of them are related and none of them know what they're doing, but they all think they're the boss. Okay. So I have a bunch of squirrels up here. So I like to try to rein that in when I'm sealing, especially a bigger project, by working in sections. This does dry fast. It self levels really good, which means it goes on real nice and thin and no brush strokes. But with it drying fast on a bigger piece like this, I like to work in sections. So I'm just going to go ahead and swipe this on the leaves and just go ahead and get that done. And then I'll go on to the upper half and seal the flowers in these leaves. And I like to use as long of strokes as I can, no more than about 10 to 12 inches at a time, because like I said, it does dry pretty fast. I also like to go do 2 layers. When I do brush on sealer, especially this particular one, I like to do 2 layers. So my first layer will always be all north and south brush strokes. So all north and south brush strokes. And then once this completely dries, I go back and I do east and west. So I'll rotate this 90 degrees and I'll do the other direction. And doing it that way, I cover the entire thing. There's not one little bit that's unsealed. And that's only if I'm doing brush on sealer. I do have a preferred spray sealer that I like to use, but honestly, I only use it when I'm going to be sealing a lot. Like if I need to really mass produce or if I'm making it for someone else. a lot of my projects I make for myself at this point. I don't take custom orders anymore. If I make something for somebody, it's kind of it's a gift for me to them usually. Like if it's, I've got a family member having a baby, or if, my grandmother wants a new door hanger, but I don't typically do custom orders anymore. So I don't mass produce a whole lot anymore. So I don't really have to use the spray sealer as much as I used to, but I do like my favorite spray sealer is Krylon Triple Thick in the glossy. They do have a matte, and it works amazing for indoor decor. But if it's going outside, I like to use the glossy. I'm going to hit this with the blow dryer real quick. It really doesn't need it, but just so that I can knock the second coat of this out, I want to, before I move on to the next piece, I'm just going to go ahead and hit it with the blow dryer. How are y'all doing? I know it's Monday. I know it's like kind of out of our normal routine, but I had a lot of this stuff that needed to get sealed and out of my little craft area, because it doesn't get to leave until it gets completely finished out. And a lot of times I don't finish the finishing touches like the Velcro and the hanger and the sealer on camera, because a lot of people know how to do that, or a lot of people have their own process of doing it. But I also know a lot of people don't quite know what they don't know yet, right? So I'm doing it pretty much for the people that are new or are looking for a new process, like they're looking for a new sealer, or they have a couple questions about finishing up the project. I need paint water. I took my paint water away thinking I wasn't painting, and I've got a sealer brush here, so I keep looking at my coffee cup. Going, oh, don't put it in there. So how are y'all doing? It's Monday. It's been a busy Monday so far for me. Everybody went back to school in my area, including me. I went back to school today. And it wasn't a bad day. Usually, from what I understand, now, my experience with the first day after a long break, I was always the student. Well, this year, I'm on the other end of that spectrum, and I'm the grown-up in the room, right? And so I was actually really scared. I was like, oh God, they're all gonna be, it's gonna be like a full moon. It's gonna be awful. They were actually really good today. And I was so thankful for it, because I had a hard morning, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just pray and hope these children, they're half grown up themselves, had a good break, and they're coming back well refreshed, and they're in a good mood today. And they did, most of them. About 95% of the children that I came into contact with today were in a good mood. And you know what? A win is a win. I'll take it. Let's see. I'm about to have to pull this up on my phone because I don't see comments. And I know for a fact my friends like to comment. Melissa Pearl cannot be the only one here. Give me a second. So let's say, I know my computer sometimes will tell me there are some people here, but won't show me comments. And I'm like, that's strange. So back in January in the paint studio, this was our door hanger design. So we paint a door hanger, a garland, and a porch liner attachment every month. And each one of those help us practice a particular technique. So in January, you're just absorbing all your knowledge. Well, hey, Sandra, I won't say it's all knowledge. Some of it's nonsense, but you can have that too. I share it all. We painted hydrangeas back in January. So this has been sitting in my little craft area since January, waiting for these finishing touches. And I'm finally ready. It's springy outside, or at least I want to feel like it's springy outside. It's about 30 something degrees when I wake up every morning lately. But I'm ready to display my hydrangeas. We're going to force it with our decor. It's like, I'm ready for spring. So I'm just throwing on a last little touches before it gets displayed outside. All right. So there's that. So there's our door hanger. Okay. This one was so much fun to paint. So much fun to paint. And all of that is paint, not 1 ounce of paint pen or anything, or puff paint or writer bottle, nothing. All that is our painting technique. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Paint Studio fam showed up and showed out with this and this month's design, because these right here, everybody that painted one of these knocked it out of the park. They look phenomenal. So there's the door hanger from January. It already had a hanger on it, so all I had to do was put a sealer on it. Same thing for the porch cleaner attachment. Now they get all the designs in JPEG form, so if they want to blow one up, so even though we painted this as an attachment, they have the JPEG so to make it a door hanger. They can do whatever they want with it. I pre-format everything to the sizes that I'm going to paint, but they can do whatever they want. All we're doing in the studio is practicing that one technique all month long. We just do it in a fun way, right? So this was actually, honestly, this whole set had some of my favorite things to paint. All right, it was like an Erica Wallace greatest hits. If I had to name this set right here, it was probably some of my favorite things to paint, all wrapped in to one big bundle. So this was the attachment. We practiced our galvanized tin, which you can't see it right now, but it is metallic, so it has a lot of sheen to it, and matte. So it's a mixture of matte and metallic, and it has an amazing in real person look. Like when you see this on someone's door painted up like this, it just has this really cool effect to it. So y'all peep that new tattoo. It's y'all. Okay, she's talking about that. So someone finally caught. So it was there Thursday when I painted live Thursday, but I didn't want to say anything about it because it was looking kind of crusty. So if I didn't have to display it, I didn't want to. But now it's all healed up. It's looking really good. Gotta catch the. Yay! Hey Anna, we're finishing up all of our studio stuff. So this is the stuff we painted. They get all these tutorials. So I want you to see here. This is still wet, okay? And it's okay. Even though that's still a little wet, the majority of it's dry, I'm going to turn it sideways and do the east and west. So I just did north and south. Normally I'd wait for it to completely dry. And then I come in for the east and west. Okay. And it's okay if it builds up a little bit on the side. It dries completely clear. Now, the two brush-on sealers that I like I said, I like this Liquitex that I'm using today. I love it. If I'm picking it up at the craft store, I'm buying the Liquitex. If I'm at the hardware store and I'm wanting, I'm in need of a sealer, I love, 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 love Minwax's polyacrylic. I love their polyacrylic. Now, here's the thing I don't like about polyacrylic. It gets cross-contaminated so easily unless you do the extra step of transferring it to a smaller bottle. And so that's what I typically do when I buy it, is I buy it by the quart. I don't buy the gallon. I buy a quart at a time. And I transfer that quart to smaller, like ketchup bottles from the Dollar Tree, or really any kind of bottle that has a closable top, because it's a sealer. So it's going to the second it oxidizes, air hits it, it's going to start drying. And this stuff dries fast. Polyacrylic dries pretty fast too. Oh, the babies. You got both the babies with you. Oh, I bet you they're precious. How is Miss Allie enjoying her brand new baby? All right, so y'all are getting a sneak peek ahead of time. This is what we painted in the paint studio this past weekend. It's a basket full of strawberries and blueberries. It's something that I like to do at least once in a red, white, and blue season. I like to do a red, white, and blue design without being obviously patriotic. So my big deal about, I love my red, white, and blue designs. I love a good flag or or, you know, an obvious patriotic design. But there are a lot of our friends that are here in the crafty world that aren't in the US of A, and they don't necessarily want to paint an American flag because that's not their flag. And I totally respect that. And I want them to be able to paint with us. So this month in the paint studio, we did a kind of an incognito red, white, and blue design. So this is a red, white, and blue design. Now you can paint this bow whatever color you want. I painted mine white just so it could be kind of it could hang for all the red, white, and blue holidays without being specific to either one. But it could also hang for spring and summer. So this one has some longevity to it. This one has some longevity to it. We practiced our shadows. We practiced our leaves. But the main focus, so every month we have a main focus. You know, we may revisit just like the galvanized tin. Galvanized tin was not the technique for last month. That was one from this time last year, but we revisited it in January when we practiced our hydrangeas. Well, we have already, leaves. We've already done these leaves once or twice in the paint studio. We revisit stuff. So we never just want to do it once and then totally forget about it and move on to the next thing. We like to sneak little nuggets of them in other designs so that you have a reason to practice that without having to paint the same thing over and over and over again. The main focus for this month was basket weave. And I'm going to tell you right now, the ladies blew me away with one, how fast they painted it, because we painted this together on Saturday. And by Sunday afternoon, I had about 5 people who have already posted, and I'm going to have to share it with y'all because they were absolutely phenomenal. Basket weave is not hard to paint. It's intimidating. Look at it. That's intimidating. At first glance, if you don't paint on a regular basis or you don't have the confidence in yourself quite yet, that right there, you're going to skip over that immediately. You're going to be like, I don't want to paint that. That looks hard. This was not hard. It's actually one of the easier things that we painted. What's hard about this is staying focused because it takes a lot of, it's almost like putting a puzzle together, but it was not hard at all. So to brag on my family, my little paint studio fam, this one, I was so impressed. So impressed, but I had the confidence in them. So I knew that they could do it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to do just the basket. Remember, I like to work in sections. So I'm going to set up my section. Okay. I'm going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, you have more wiggle room with the Minwax. It dries a little slower than this one. It still dries nice and fast. You're not going to be sitting there all day, but it's thicker. So it's going to dry a little slower than this one. And it doesn't self-level as much as this one. So if I had to pick one over the other, I like my Liquitex more than the Minwax polyacrylic. But I like to have one or two to kind of pick from in case one's sold out, right? Or say I don't have time to go to both the hardware and the craft store today, and I just so happen to be going to the hardware store. Well, I know which one I can pick up and that I trust, right? Revisiting is good for new. Yes, it is. And then when we revisit, we always say, oh, we painted this back in, I want to say we painted the galvanized tin back in March of 2022. So it's been a whole year since we've revisited, since we introduced it to begin with. And revisiting it, just like, it's just so good. And if they enjoy it, say they enjoyed doing the galvanized tin back in January when we did the hydrangeas. When I say, oh, we're going to revisit this, I'm going to turn this upside down because I don't want to put my sweater. That's the word. When I say, oh, if you enjoyed this, there's a whole nother tutorial and design that has this tucked in it so that they can go and paint it again. I love our designs in studio. They're so much fun. And I like the designs in studio. They are, they're fun to paint and they're hard to give up. I'm not going to lie. Like whenever I paint something, there's three places that my paintings end up going. Since I don't sell my door hangers anymore, I don't mass produce them and do custom orders. I can either save them. Well, there's 4, I guess. I can save them for like a pop-up shop. Like if I just decide to pop into a a craft fair, I have inventory because I paint at least 6 times a month, right? So I've got, for every month, I've got at least six projects that I can throw into my craft fair booth. That's the least likely one, right? Because I don't typically do craft fairs anymore too. I used to do them all the time. I like to set up at farmers markets to promote my paint parties. I would bring these set up like a craft fair, but I wasn't really there to sell door hangers. I was there to promote paint parties. And if I sold a door hanger, bonus, but I was not there to sell door hangers. I was really there to promote my paint parties. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to let Romo in real quick while this dries. We're going to turn this 90 degrees in just a second, and we're going to do our east and west. Remember, when I do brush on, I like to do 2 directions. Come on, Romo. You were just here. I'm just going to, here he comes. Hey, big boy. So, here we go. Yeah, I like to do, so here we go. We're going to turn it 90 degrees. So we've done all our brush strokes have gone in the exact same direction, right? We're going to blow dry this just for good measure. Now we have not painted the attachment or the garland for this. That comes next Friday. So like I said, this is a little ahead of the schedule to finish this one out because I like to do all of it all at once. Like seal it and get it all ready. But it was just sitting here, so I might as well. And that red really popped once I put the sealer on it. Well, what sealer are you brushing on? I'm brushing on here while I'm Liquitex brush on sealer. And this is in the high gloss. It doesn't have to be the high gloss. They have glossy and high gloss. I haven't found a difference in either one. I have both. But I have yet to find a difference in either one. They're both glossy. I haven't found one that's more glossy than the other one. It does say that it's high gloss, but if your store is out of one, it's safe to pick up the other. But I do like, if you're at the hardware store, they're not going to have this Liquitex. They're going to have Minwax polyacrylic. So I recommend that one. So just depending on where you're shopping. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. Anytime. And don't worry if I've answered. I don't mind. I'm one of those few people that don't mind answering the exact same thing over and over and over again. I don't. I totally get that you could be popping in and out because you're either at work or, you got a toddler you're chasing. Look at me. I turned this sideways for a reason. I totally get that you may not be able to sit here as long as I'm able to sit here. You ask away. I've been in a couple of lives where I had to, y'all know I have a 5-year-old. And so I've either had to stop and go give her a bath or stop and the timer on the oven just went off. So I had to step away and go take care of that before the house burns down. Right. So, and I've come back and I asked a question and they were like, well, I mean, I've already answered that, but, and I'm like, well, dang. So I know how it feels to kind of like hesitate to ask a question because you don't want to bother me. It does not bother me. Just bother me. Just ask it. I'd rather you ask it and get the answer. And even if I do get bothered, which I'm most likely not going to, I'd rather you have your answer regardless, right? Okay, so we're just putting on our second layer of sealer just for good measure. It doesn't need it. This Liquitex covers pretty well and it protects pretty well. And it does fine in the sun. It doesn't say specifically UV protectant, but I have UV, like my spray-on sealer is UV. It's got not a lot of UV protection in it, but it does have some. And it's still, they're all going to fade. These paints are not UV protected. So here's what I've got. I know a lot of people get upset about what my door hanger faded. One second. My door hanger faded. And us artists think, oh, well, but I use a UV protectant sealer. That means the sealer is UV protected. That does not mean that you're protecting the paint from fading. You're protecting the sealer from being affected. So the only way that you're going to avoid your colors not fading is by using a specific paint that does not fade, right? So I don't worry about it. I'm not going to hang my door. I only know one person in my neighborhood that habitually hangs the same door hanger on the same schedule every year. And I've lived here for over 10 years and they are using the same door hangers. And I'm like, one, I don't know how, but two, they don't, I've noticed they don't even keep the same door hanger up for a solid month. They change theirs out pretty regularly. So if you're getting a good solid season out of your door hanger, count yourself more than blessed. Okay. Most people want a new design by the time the next red, white, and blue holiday comes up. They're like itching for something new and exciting anyways. I just purchased the Liquitex and love it. Oh, I'm so excited. So this one is the high gloss, but it's too far out of my reach. I do have the regular gloss and they work interchangeably. So everyone that I know that has tried, I'm going to go fill this up with water while I talk because my brush needs to not have sealers sitting in it. Everyone that I've talked to that has tried it loves it. In fact, I fought it. My friend Bonnie told me about it a few times before I finally decided to indulge and pick a bottle up. And then ever since I have invested in all like the matte, the gloss, and the high gloss. I mean, I haven't had to rebuy it only because I have so many bottles of it, but I would rebuy it. So we're just letting this dry. So if you have any questions, you just put them down in the comments and I don't mind answering them. I typically spray mine, but it's nice to have an indoor option too. Especially like for us, it's been raining a lot and it's cold. So humidity and temperature affects spray sealers. Guess what? They don't affect the brush-on sealers. The only thing that affects the brush-on sealers is your application. I have ruined a couple of projects with a brush-on sealer because I used a roller. Other than that, as long as I use a nice flat brush, my brush-on sealers have not ruined. But my spray sealers have, and it has always been on something that I could not afford time-wise for it to ruin because it was always in order. But they have bubbled, they have hazed, they have gotten like a residue to them and that you couldn't wipe it away. Spray sealers I love. Don't get me wrong. Love them. And I have one that I absolutely adore. But they get moody. They get super moody. I ordered bundles from Home Creations yesterday, but it won't let me order this one. Any suggestions? Huh? Oh, Rhonda. Okay. So that's because you're new to the studio. I've got to let them know that you've been added. So they have a list of everyone that's in the studio and only studio members, which you are, but you're brand spanking new. So we'll have to get you added to their list for you to get this specific one. Let's see. Yeah, the high gloss, like I'm telling you, I have the glossy, but so far I usually just grab for the high gloss. Not because I think it looks better. It's just what I've been grabbing for. My brain just says grab that one. Okay, so this one is done sealer wise. Let's put a hanger on it. So we can either do a twine or a wire hanger. What should we do? Twine or wire? And if we do wire, I do have a bonus. I do. Twine or wire? Let me get the sealer plate out of the way. So if you're just hopping on and you're wondering where this design came from, this is one of my Paint Studio designs. They're not available to the public. They're only available to Paint Studio members. And this was this month's design. We focused on basket weave, so we learned how to paint basket weave and make it look more realistic than just color blocking. We added shading and all the things to make it really pop. And now we're just adding a sealer to it because I know as soon as Easter's over, I'm going to want to put this one up to roll into May for the first red, white, and blue holiday. And I'm telling you right now, when we finished painting, I looked at that bow and I was like, nobody can tell me anything today. Look at my bow. Look at my bow. You can't tell me nothing. I'm just on my high horse. I'm gonna be on my high horse today because that bow would nobody. So that's exactly how I walked her house. I showed my sister. Who all did I show that day? I was like, look at my bow. I was like, hold on, but look at my bow. I showed him a picture. I took a picture of it because I knew I was going to be like, I wanted to brag. I was like, look at my bow. That's all painting. That is all shading to make that bow look 3D. Have we said wire or twine? So we can either add a twine hanger. So this would be a twine hanger. Okay. This is what I typically use at paint parties. So if I'm doing a paint party and we want to put a hanger on it to finish it out so they can go home and hang it up, that is my default hanger. That I don't go any more advanced than that because we're not going to have the time. It's like a lot of paint party goers have spent a lot of time, having fun with their friends, but painting, because this may not be but the first time that they painted, so they may take their time. So we go with a very simple, very easy hanger style, but I like to do wires. So I do both of them here on the page. Let's see. Oh, Anna says wire. So let's go with wire. All right, let me pull my wire out. And an example of wire would be how I do my ornaments. So this is an example of how I do my wire for door hangers. So I'm going to put that right back there. Okay. Now, my ornaments and my door hangers get different wire though. So I use a heavier gauge. I use fencing wire, at least 17 gauge wire for my door hangers. I want something that's not going to bend with a little bit of weight. So this is a good couple pounds, right? Probably 1.5 pounds, but let's just say 2 for good measure. I'm going to use at least a 17, 18 gauge, maybe a 16 gauge. I can't remember. Does it get, as it goes up, it gets thicker, it gets thinner? And probably, I want it to go all the way around. I want it to go around the bow. Like, do I want it to be here and here? Or do I want it to be in the bow? I want it to be around the bow. I think I want it to be around the bow. Yeah, let's do it around the bow. So I'm going to do about 18 inches of wire. We can get my wire cutters. Now, most of my pliers have wire cutters built into it, but I just so happened to find these wire cutters in my toolbox the other day, and I was like, oh, I forgot I even owned those. So I got this at Tractor Supply. Let me see if I can get that without the glare. So that's the wire that I use for door hangers. This is the minimum. Okay, the gauge is what's most important. This is the minimum gauge that I like to use when I use wire. Okay, it would not hurt to go even thicker, but this is the minimum that will keep its shape when we hang it on the door, and with the weight pulling down for the actual door hanger. That's if you use MDF, that tends to be a little bit heavier, right? Or if you use underlayment, which tends to be a little thinner, a little lighter. All right, let me see if I can find my round nose needle pliers. Well, those are my flat needle nose pliers. I need my round needle nose pliers. There they are. I bet you that's in. Nope, that's more. Well, dad-nabbit, where'd they go? They're hiding. There's just so many little handles that are sticking up. I'm also going to clean the edges up before I put this fire on. All right, well, we'll just use flat nose then. We'll just use flat nose. That's okay. It'll work. This is not my preferred. I like my round nose. We'll just have to get very, very, we'll have to be careful. So one thing that I like to do before I put wire on or finish anything, and you can do it before sealer or after sealer, I like to clean up the edges. This one I have not cleaned up the edges, okay? Okay, so I'm using a paint pen right now, like a nice thick paint pen, because my last furniture stain pen, which is what I prefer, it completely dried up. It was done. So I'm just going around. Okay, I'm just going around. I know y'all can't really see what I'm doing, but so if you look here, see all that overpaint? See how it's just like messy and let's see. Gosh, it's messy and kind of just makes it look a little less polished. See what we did there? Let's see if we can get in those corners a little bit better. There we go. So all we're doing, this should be a better angle. See how all that extra paint on the sides? We're just going to take our paint pen and we're going to go right over it. The furniture stain pen goes a little bit better than the actual paint pen. So this is what it looks like without doing the paint pen or the furniture stain pen. And this is what it looks like after you do it. It just cleans it up. And if you are hand cutting, like with a jigsaw or a scroll saw, by doing this, you get a faux laser etch look. It just polishes it up just enough. And you don't have to sit there with a paintbrush. This is a lot easier and a lot quicker than going over it with a paintbrush, because that's how I started off doing the decor, is I took a paintbrush and I went over the edges. All right, so that's done. Like I said, you can do that before sealer, after sealer. It does not matter. Hey, Lori. Doesn't it look good? It looks really good. It looks really good. Hey, Laura. Okay, so with the wire, so with twine, you use a stapler to put it on. With the wire, we use a scrap piece of wood and a little hand drill. And you can use a regular drill, but since I'm inside, I like to use a battery-operated hand drill. So I'm going to turn it up. I'm just going to find a spot. Okay. And then I'm going to try to mimic this on the other side. So I've got it right here. Let me put y'all back centered. I've got it right here. Now, while I'm talking, I have this actually level. So my block and my phone mount, so the base of my phone mount, they're exactly the same height. So I can rest the other side of my door hanger on my phone mount as I work with the drill here, and it gives me a nice flat level surface. Now, if you're working and you're doing this on your table, you don't want it this side leaning on your actual table and this side leaning on your block. I've got a good little bit of, see how I can get, there's some room down there. You don't want that. When you have this raised up on the block, and yes, you do want to use the block because it's going to help save the back of your door hanger or whatever ornament, attachment, whatever you're drilling. The last piece of wood that your drill goes through is what splinters. So you just want to make sure that your project, your artwork, is not the last thing that it goes through, okay? So always have scrap wood behind your actual painted project. All right, so I've got about a knuckle. So there we go. So we're going to put about a knuckle. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Usually I would try to save the sawdust and cleanly get rid of it. This is not a lot of sawdust. So now I can y'all see this? I use the same piece of wood over and over and over again. I'm done with my drill, so I'm going to put it in my little finishing box. And I've already have my wire, okay? And I said it's about 18 inches. Really, you're just going to have to eyeball it. It just depends on where you're putting your holes. You could either put it here at the top of the bow, or you could put it here just on the side of the bow. Now, I told you, if we did wire, which we are, I had a little bonus tip for you, okay? I bought this at Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure this came from Hobby Lobby. Yep, Hobby Lobby. It was originally $11. I'm pretty sure I got this for at least 50% off, okay? These bigger, and this was Valentine's Day. So I shopped their Valentine's Day clearance. And the next time I go into Hobby Lobby, I'm going to double check and make sure there's not any more left. Because red and white, black and white, any of these beaded garlands, I don't typically use these beaded garlands in my actual home decor, like laying on a shelf or anything. I like to use these on my actual twine or my wire. So I'm going to, y'all just take a breath, okay? Don't freak out when I do this, okay? We're just going to borrow these beads. These are never the right length for me. They're never the colors that I want in my actual home decor for inside my house that go. So like red and white are very specific to Christmas, red, white, and blue, and Valentine's Day. Any other time of the year, I don't typically need red and white in my home decor inside my house, but I will put it on my door, right? So I'm going to do a red. Let's make us a little, let's do white, red, white. And if we wanted to get creative, we could take 2 more white ones and paint them blue, but we're not going to. We're just going to let's just do 5 and then 3. Okay, yes, let's do this. Okay. Ah, stop it. Ah, oh my God. So now that this has been cut, I can do one of two things. I can either tie this off or put a clamp on it and save it as the string itself. Or I can empty this entire string of beads and organize them and put them in like a container of some sort. Okay, so let's see. What all do I have? I need one more red. One of my reds skipped out on me. Let's see. Here's another red. That's cool. We'll just do that. I don't know where. There was another one that fell, but we'll find it later. So I'm going to take, just for right now, just because I don't want you to have to sit here while I organize these, I will end up taking these off the string and just throwing the string away. I'm just going to take a clothespin. This is just a decorative one that I've gotten from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to take a clothespin. I'm going to lay it inside the clothespin. I have it opened up and I'm laying it inside. And I'm going to wrap it around a couple times and close it. And that should hold it still long enough for me to finish doing what I'm doing, right? I don't know where that other red one wiggled to, but the next time I vacuum, I'm sure I'll find it. Okay. So what I like to do with my twines, I like to go ahead and pre-curl one side. This is why I like my round nose ones, because it gets a prettier curl. There we go. We can do one more if we want. So I'm just kind of pre-curling it. And I can straighten it out as much as I need to, if I need to. And then I'm going to pick a side and feed it through one hole. I want that curl to be on the front of the art piece, right? go. There's one. And then I'm going to put my little order of beads that I want on here. So I said I wanted 2 white, a red, and then 2 more white. Okay. Now on my ornaments, I like to have just a few beads, but on my door hangers, I like to put a few extra beads. And then on the other side, so we're going to go ahead and feed them on here. On the other side, I'm going to put a white, a red, and oh, there we go. Let's get another red one out because I saw where that one went. It went underneath the table, so I won't be able to get that. All right, let's do that. Okay. So we'll do a white, a red, and a white. Oh, thank you, baby.
Was that it?
No, that wasn't it, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. You can go get your snack.
What is it?
It's a marble.
Yeah.
Or a bead. So a white, a red. Don't worry about it. I'll find it. I saw where it went. You just take care of your snack. Hey, will you make your sister some? Yes.
Some what?
You see, I set them out for you. Can you? I didn't want to make them ahead of time and them not be warm. So when you make yours, can you just make an extra like 10 or 15 for your sister? All right, so now we're going to do, so there's all of our beads. Now remember, I'm going to separate these out and put like 5 on this side, 3 on this side. And you can do matchy-matchy, but I like, when it comes to the beads, I like there to be a little bit of chaos to them. So we're going to do that, but we got to finish off the wire. Otherwise, they're just going to slide right off. Those red beads are running. I'm telling you, they were like, no, I don't want to be locked down. I don't want to be on your door hanger. But we had other plans. They're going to be on the door hanger. Okay, so I'm going to get you a little closer and see if I can get you a better angle of doing this wire. I don't know if I can or not, but we'll try. So we're going to just twist, but not twist it all the way. I'm just kind of bending it over, okay? And then I'm going to go a little further in. And I'm going to give it another, no. I want to give it a little bit more twist. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. Okay, and then we're going to, boom. Going to flatten the curly Q and the back of the wire. We're going to flatten them with our fingers so that they kind of create like a hook. So our wood sits, here's the curly Q, here's the back of the wire. So it's snug on there, right? And then we're going to separate our beads just like we planned. And there we go. That's how we finish a wire hanging. So you can either do a twine, which is just simple. Do a double knot and staple it to the back of your door hanger with a 1/4-inch staple. Or you can do a wire hanging with at least 17 or 18 gauge wire. Honestly, 17 is probably the thinnest you can go without it being not strong enough to hold the weight of your door hanger. And add any kind of embellishments. You can add beads. You can add, let's see. So remember last Thursday when we tore all the fabric straps, you can sit and do a little, you can cut these a little smaller. Okay. And do a fabric garland going across. There's been girls in the studio that have done that, and they have turned out so stinking cute to match their fabric garland that accompanies their painted garland, right? So, with a quick little tutorial, that is how I would normally do it. Now, this right here is just too stinking cute. I kind of want to add the tassel somewhere. Like I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I don't want it to look. It's going to find a place. I'm going to save it, and we're going to put it somewhere because that is a stinking cute tassel. It's a good tassel. So with just a few easy steps, I've shown you one way of doing your door hanger attachments. Now, I haven't painted this porch leaner attachment yet, but when we do, I'll seal it, and we'll put some Velcro on it, and I'll show you how I would normally do Velcro. but we won't be painting that until this upcoming Friday anyways. So that'll be a later date. So if you have any questions when it comes to sealers or hangers or anything involving painting your own home decor, put them down in the comments or send me a quick message and I'll get back to you real quick. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.